just met with Hyra and Paul, and they very much liked a lot of what we're doing here. They had some minor changes that we needed to look at. If you could go to 408 on this, it should be this. Yeah, in this section right here, we thought it was a little long. It's like 11 seconds long. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to take that out, and what we're going to replace it with, and I told you on the phone the other day that we're going to have the scene with the snow in it, and then the house scene with the snow, and then we're going to go and have the snow disappear. So I don't know, is it like the opening shot is where you have the house where we acknowledge? No.
Well, we had an establishing shot, but then we also had another shot, I believe, where we're showing it go from night to day.
Right. I don't remember exactly where that was, but it was because the transition needed to okay right in here, but that was one part. But before that, we'll have, because we were in the snow, and then we go to this scene here with the school,
Right.
and it's no snow. So we wanted to establish a little prior to that this was actually over a course of a couple months.
Right.
And then before they go to the playground.
Yeah, what I was initially going to do was halfway through this sequence, I was going to cut to a scene where you see the snow go away.
Okay. And I think what we want to do is we want to get rid of that. We want to shorten
it, but then show that
so
winter
that way,
to spring transition.
Yep, and that will replace that whole segment with the clock. That and the clock was not a normal, what kids are used to seeing clock. It had the two hands, and that's not what we are showing. So we're going to get rid of all of that. We're just going to show the sign or the shot from snow to no snow, and that way when we end up at the school where there's no snow, we've now made that transition and everything is working a-okay.
Yeah, and that does shorten it up quite a bit. Cool.
So that was one spot. If you go to 325, what we're looking at here is there was a shot where the zipper, okay? What we're thinking of doing, and they like that, but we're gonna move it. We're gonna move it to earlier. There was a spot there where he in the narrative where they were talking about I'm a sheep too. He mentions that he's a sheep, and maybe right prior to that or right in that area, we can have the zipper down, and when he says I'm a sheep too, right after that scene, show him zippering up to show that he is not really a sheep. We can work out that, and then at 6:47, I think it's right before this scene is when he takes the zipper off. We're thinking that where he takes the zipper off, that will be where that scene gets moved to. So right before we go to this shot where you show him out of it, that's where the unzip will be moved to in that spot. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then right in where you're at there, the 7:22 mark, where she's asking about the safe word.
No.
Right.
Yeah, back up. Show that little section there where she asked about the safe word.
Do you know the secret safe word?
Sunshine?
No.
Popsicle?
No.
Okay. What we want to do is right before that, each time we come back to the wolf, have his, maybe instead of it going red, maybe a darker shade to show that he's frustrated. And I mean, we can work out that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, because then that will go along with the swell of the music to show that he's anxious or angry. Yeah.
And otherwise, it's like, because you kind of get it in her voice and in his apprehension in his voice.
Right.
Wanted to show it more through a change of color.
Yeah, it would be another visual.
Yes, and then Paul will be able to really do something with the audio at that point.
I think that's a great idea.
A real simple one is at 234. And I think we talked about this on the phone. Okay, where it says watch ad, back up just a little bit. Okay, watch ad should be start game. So where it says watch, we just change that to say start game.
Right, and we'll get rid of this.
No, that stays, because that's part of a game.
That's true.
Where the watch ad, they just thought it would be nicer if it just said start game, because then it shows them start to interact at that
Instead
point.
of watching the ad, which makes more sense.
Yeah. Try to simplify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. I really like that.
Yeah, because it's hard. The first round with the rough, we just basically went off the script. But after visually seeing it, then some of the stuff makes a little more sense if it's changed just slightly.
What was really neat about the meeting was these are very minor changes, but they were all dramatic changes.
Right.
Things, especially with the change of the color of the wolf, because Paul was like, "Oh, I'm already kind of hearing what I'm going to do musically here," and I'm like, "Great."
That's what we want.
And this is a real simple one. If you go, I believe at 23 seconds, so way back at the beginning when we're coming into the room, back up right there. On the door, we thought it would be nice to have Alex's room. How young kids, sometimes will have it peppered with,
Pictures.
flowers or whatever we,
Yeah.
and that way that establishes that it's her bedroom that she's going into. So we can
That's good.
get creative on that, and that basically is the changes. I mean, they're not real.
And that's what we were hoping for. The intent of the rough draft. I mean, we wanted to get it close.
Right.
We definitely wanted it close. And the thing that we were really looking for was that consistent style throughout.
And they like that. Go to one of the titles, where the narrator comes in. What we're going to look at doing here, because we have to put ourselves back into elementary school. This one isn't too bad, but some of them had like 2 sentences, 3 sentences. We want to set them up in this example here, where 1 sentence at a time.
Right.
Make it
Less
bigger.
words.
Take up that whole space. But it's larger, easier to read, and they'll be able to follow along better. And we just have a couple more edits in there.
Yeah.
and-
I think that's those are all good revisions that will really enhance it.
It really should. And one thing I found that was nice, and want to ask you, when you develop the characters, one thing that, when they were going through and said, hey, we want to put this on the door, or we want to change the zipper, or we want to do this, or change the color, you designed it so that everything is on layers, correct?
That and everything's linked.
Okay.
So, for instance, if we want to go back to the bedroom scene and we want to add that poster that says Alex's room, or on the door here, all I need to do is go to that Illustrator file where I drew this scene up, add that, go into my After Effects, re-render that sequence, because I ordered them all based on scene and sequence within the scene, and then update that. And then once that's updated, it'll update in Premiere.
So it's managing your media.
Very important. You got to be very organized. Otherwise, you're going to spend countless hours making revisions.
And that's what's nice about this whole thing, because even with the change of the color of his face, it's just a layer.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like you have to recreate.
No.
You're just going to go in and say, okay, on this particular scene, I'm going to change the color.
Yeah, and I've already gone through and done some of that. We changed the name of the game, and there was a couple areas where, World Jam was in, and so I had to update that image in Illustrator and then re-render that sequence, but it's already there. Once I update Illustrator, I open up After Effects, it's already updated with a new image. I just have to re-render, and it takes, under a minute to re-render. Open up Premiere, boom, it's updated.
Because you planned it.
Because I planned it, yes.
And that's the big thing. One other thing, and I just noticed this, there was a talk about kids understanding the clock.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed there's a clock there.
Mm-hmm. Is
it difficult maybe to take that off and maybe next to the teddy bear have a digital clock? I mean, we'll discuss that. I'm just looking at this. They said that, if we're aiming at elementary school kids today,
right,
even a digital clock is probably not something you're seeing much,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to it's going to be on the computer screen. It's going to be on their tablet.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out logistically what will take least amount of time and really think about the huge impact, whether it's that big of an impact.
Yeah, and
to
they
me, another option would be maybe on the iPad, show the time, because there is actually a time on there, and I actually turned it off just because I didn't know if it was necessary.
Right, and maybe we'll revisit that.
Right.
So it looks like we got a couple things to do. Any closing things? I think the final right now is we make these changes.
Yeah.
Paul already has the first version,
mm-hmm.
so he can start to create the timing. But I wanted to get him this with all the updated changes,
mm-hmm.
and then he's going to work on the musical score, sound effects,
Yep.
and put that together. We have a target date of the 1st of April to have this done,
mm-hmm.
Which gives...
Yeah, I think we're on track.
Now that we're done, it's in Paul's hands,
mm-hmm.
and that musical score, I mean, even to pull that off in a month is going to be pretty aggressive.
Yeah. Well, considering he's probably got a lot of other things to do at the same time.
Well, and he's going to, I don't know how many students he's going to involve with this process, but the nice thing is that, we're dealing with his department.
Yeah.
And, this whole project written by students,
mm-hmm.
acted by students.
Yeah.
We're students of life. I
Yeah.
don't know how you want to look at that.
They brought us into it. We're not students, but most of this project.
Yeah.
I mean, the vision of the voice talent, all the writers. That's all done by students.
I'm an alum, so that kind of made it kind of nice, and it's nice to be back, working with the university in this realm.
Yeah, it's been a privilege.
And I guess get to work.
All right, snap, and I'll be done.
All right.